Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today a new video, not an unboxing this time, but there was a comment in one of my other videos recently that some people asked if I could do a share story on several of my watches. So I thought, as I did it with the Pepsi a few weeks ago, I thought it was good to do it with this one now that you see here, the new Daytona, with a new reference number. And yeah, this is, as you can imagine, the most special watch that I have, I think, or I would say. And I thought I would share the story. I hope that the story will be interesting for everybody who's listening. This is something that I do in my hobby channel. Is I try to bring videos with value. So unboxing often is, I think, a little bit boring, as there's thousands of unboxing videos of Rolexes, but not so many about the story, how to get it, how the relationship was. How was it difficult? How was it difficult, etc. So I thought today I would share this. So this was an idea of a subscriber or somebody who commented. So thanks for that idea. Yeah, this is a very recent addition. I have an unboxing of this, I think three months ago, more or less. So you can see the official unboxing. But I wanted to share a little bit the story. Now, one thing to know is I got this from an AD, which is a family-owned AD. So it's not a global chain of retail or AD. So it's a local family-owned business since many years, so many generations even. And I have a very good, almost friendly relationship with the owner there. And that's the very short story. The long story is that, of course, this is not my first watch there. Yeah. So anybody who says you just walk in or they ordered it and got it a year later, I think that's unrealistic. And if it happens, it's more luck, or somebody who has the very strong relationship there gave the relationship. But I think these kind of watches, they really are quite hard to get. From the moment that I asked for it, it didn't take very long, yeah, but I waited for the right moment. What I did is I'm a watch collector, so I'm not somebody who is only looking to buy Rolex and nothing else. There's many channels who are only talking about Rolex and everything is Rolex, and I love Rolex, but I also love Panerai, for example. I love Breitling, certain models, Tudor, IWC has great watches. So I think, at least for me as a collector, I like to have kind of different kinds of brands. But of course, Rolex watches are yeah, somehow always a little bit more special because they are harder to get, and of course they keep value. Yeah, so as a collector, it's also sometimes quite nice that you don't lose lots of money when you actually don't like a watch anymore and sell it. That's like the only moments when I sell a watch is when I just don't really like it anymore. So to get back to this AD and the relationship there, I would say the relationship now has been going 4 or 5 years. I think 4 years more or less. The very first watches I bought, one was a Breitling that I really want, a highly limited. The Navitimer was limited, and a highly limited IWC, which I will also share at some point. I don't have it with me right now, but I will do a video. I think it's beautiful. It's an IWC pilot's chronograph, limited to 1,000 pieces. And it was an anniversary model, and it has a white dial, which is amazing, which is pretty much the same beautiful dial like the new white Speedy. But back then there was no big hype around that IWC, but I will share that. So I had those two watches because I really wanted them, and he was one of the few in my country who actually had these watches, and that's how the relationship kind of started. So it didn't start with I want a Rolex, I want a Daytona or something like this, but I knew that I wanted also a Rolex because at that point I already had one Rolex. And then after that, those 2 watches, I asked him, I said, hey, there's a special event coming up in a little less than a year. I think it was about 9 months away, where I would really like a watch which is important to me. And that's this watch, the Batman. I actually got it as a Batgirl, but I put the oyster bracelet on it from my Pepsi, which I got from him, which I'll touch on in some other video. So yeah, this was the watch that I got then. And from the moment that I asked him, I think this was 2021. So it was at this kind of peak of or the start of the peak of the watch craze, let's say. And this was a very liked watch, of course, the Batgirl with the new bracelet. And I told him, hey, I actually wanted the Batman, but that got discontinued the year before, I think, or a year and a half before, I think in 2018 or 2019. It got discontinued, and then a year later it came with the Jubilee bracelet. Yeah, but I put this on the oyster bracelet just a few weeks ago, and I really like it. It's a whole different feel, but I also really like it on the Jubilee. Yeah, and then he said yes, that's definitely possible. He wanted to know the exact date, and I shared it and everything. And he delivered it on the date or just before, because he knew I was somebody serious, yeah. And I didn't had a massive history back then with him, but this was the start of that. I knew he delivers also on promises regarding Rolex, and since then it's my absolute go-to AD. I'll touch on a story of a global retailer or AD where I also had a good relationship and might have a good one again, which is where I got the Pepsi from a couple of weeks ago. But if you want that story, please go to my video of the Pepsi. It's an unboxing, the Pepsi on the Jubilee. Yeah. So yeah, that was the start of the Rolex with that AD. Once I had this, I was very happy, and actually back then I thought, okay, now I'm happy. I won't be asking for many watches anymore. But that woke a whole new kind of collecting thing in me, and I had bought several watches from Breitling to Panerai, etc. I would say a couple each year, and those I've all kept, or when I sold them, it was when I didn't like them anymore. But it was always with the wish of getting that watch. So getting that Panerai, getting that Breitling or that IWC, or also that Tudor, that was the mission. It was not the mission to build up a relationship in order to ask for a Daytona or a Pepsi or something. Yeah. So I think that's important in knowing how I did it, and that I never did it with the mission to the Pepsi or the mission to the Batman or the mission to the Daytona. So I can only give my good experiences in this sense, because that's how it worked for me. Yeah. So to go back to the Daytona, how I got that. So when I already had the Batman from him, or the Batgirl, then the Pepsi on Oyster 2 years ago, which I will also share in another video. Then came the Rolex Skydweller, which really is a very, very special watch. I didn't think I would like it so much. I almost think it's more special than the Daytona, because it's really, really a special watch. So anybody who has not had that watch in their hands, you should get it. I have it on the blue dial. I will also share that in another video. So lots of videos to come up whenever I have time. And if you guys like it and watch it, then I will make them and make them happily. But once I had those watches and from all those watches, from the point that I asked them, so from the Batman, which was the first Rolex there, it was less than a year. I think it was more or less 9 months, 7, 8, 9 months. So fairly quick. So not these, you have to wait 10 years or 5 years. Yeah. If you're a genuine person and you like to build a relationship and like watches, it doesn't take so long. Yeah. And I always asked for one watch after the other. So I never said, okay, this is my whole catalog Rolex that I want. There was always one after the other. And then came the Pepsi, and a few months, actually a few months before the Pepsi came, the Skydweller. I completely did not expect that. I will take that story in another video because it's a really cool story. He surprised me on my birthday, and that was amazing. I remember until today when I unpacked, I thought it would be the Pepsi, but then it was the Skydweller, and the Pepsi came a couple of months later. So it was really, really amazing, and that's how relationships go. I think, yeah, it's really these pick certain dates for special occasions, for special watches, and if your AD takes them seriously, he will do that. And the big benefit here is it's a family-owned business. Yeah, so I will go into some more detail at the end of the video why I would say I prefer family-owned ADs to global retailers or ADs which have lots of locations across the world, where I've also made good experience, but also bad experience. And with the family owned, I never made a bad experiences, luckily. Yeah. So knock on wood. So I think that's the reason I got this Daytona. Yeah. This is almost less than a year released. I think it was released in 2023, but in April. But when it really started to get delivered, I think it was October, November, yeah, of 2023, of last year. And right now we have summer of 2024, and I already have this. And I did not buy hundreds of thousands of euros of jewelry or garbage watches. Yeah, I only bought what I wanted. So I think that again goes to the story. A local family-owned business AD is for me the way to go. Yeah, doesn't mean it doesn't work in another way, but at least for me, that was the way. So when I asked for this came. This was released in April 2023, and when I saw that it had a new movement, because I have the older Daytona, the pre-ceramic in white dial, which had the first Rolex chronograph movement, so after the Zenith. And then when the new Daytona came in 2016, I think it was, with the ceramic, I liked it, but it was not something that made me want to have it really, because it had the same movement. It was just a kind of a facelift. Yeah. So it never really interested me enough. I was more interested in the Batman or the Pepsi or the Skydweller, or also the Rolex Explorer 2, which I used to have. But when this got released with a new movement, yes, the first time in I think almost 20 years they changed the movement with the new steel around the ceramic bezel, and the dial is pretty different. Yeah, it's almost completely different. The indices are longer and more feminine, I would say. The case is different. It's a bit bigger now. So that was the moment where I was like, wow, now I'm actually really keen on the Daytona. And this was already 3.5 years in a good relationship with the AD. Yeah, and I never asked for the Daytona, never. But then this came, and I called him a couple of days later. I think I said, okay, I might be the 1000th call already, but I just saw a few days ago the new release Daytona. I've got a very special date next year, so in 2024. So my question is it possible to get this watch with you? Yeah. So I have to say I was a little bit, because of all the videos and all the videos out there about you have to be careful how you ask for Daytona and this and that, and you can never get it, and everybody kind of tries to scare you, and they are so special that they have it. So I was a kind of influenced by this, but his reaction was amazing. Yeah, his reaction was, well, we know each other long enough, of course. Yeah, let's make that wish happen. And then he wanted to know the date and the reason, or I kind of said it myself. And he said, okay, that's a pretty cool idea that for that date you're targeting that watch. And I said, yes, thanks, great. And I said I wanted the black one because I have the other white one, the older one. And I love white dials, but with this specific variation, I prefer the black dial. I don't know why. I think everybody always likes the the Panda more, but I kind of like from this version this one more. From the previous ceramic, I would say also the white one, but from the new ceramic ones, I prefer definitely this one. So that was the story, and that was, and a year later, I got it. I got it just before the date. There were a couple of conversations in between, of course, hey, I'm getting a little bit nervous, the date is coming, how's it going? But he was always really nice. He always said, don't worry, we'll make it happen. No issues there, but it's still very new. I haven't got so many yet. Didn't really share very much detail, but he gave me always a really good feeling in knowing. So you see it on my wrist. My wrist is 18.5 centimeters. So you can see I've worn it already quite a bit. You can see a little bit the scratches here, this one. But it doesn't matter. The watches are to wear, not to keep in the box. And just I think a week before the date came, he said, "Okay, it's here. Are you ready?" And I said, "Of course I'm ready." It makes me smile when I think of this watch or when I wear it. It really gives the kind of weight to the relationship I have there. And once again, I think this is mainly because there's been several years, and I didn't come there with the mission to get the Daytona or ask 5 times for the Daytona. When I knew it was time to ask, I asked it, and that was a good timing. If I would have asked it from the very first visit, it probably would have been a different story. Yeah, it might have been that I would not have been even getting such a good relationship there. So I think you have to think about that if you make or if you have the wish to get a Daytona or another kind of hard to get Rolex, is try to find the best local AD, which is family owned, because with another experience I had, just very briefly, I'll make a video on it soon, but compared to a global AD, which is worldwide based, many locations, you're very much dependent on the sales associate you are working with. Yeah, and if that sales associate leaves, which is very often or normal in kind of global run companies, compared to family owned businesses, the fluctuation is quite little. Yeah, for example, with the family owned business or the AD that I buy my watches from, mostly there has been not a single person leaving since my 4 years in contact there. Yeah. And with the global AD, I also have good experiences with, where I got the Pepsi and also some other watches. There it was very difficult when the sales associate left. The relationship is back to zero, more or less. Yeah. So that's really my story on a family-owned ADs and how to get Rolexes at retail from them. I think it's important that you're genuine. It's important to ask the questions at the right time. And if you really are only into Rolex and only want the hard to get ones and not interested in any other watches, I think probably it is best to be very patient and get lucky, or to go to the gray market, I think. Yeah. But for me, gray market is absolutely not an option. I miss the kind of special feeling if you just go online or into a gray dealer and say, okay, I want this watch, I pay it and take it out. It kind of is nice to wait for a watch. I also do this with Panerais. I kind of wait for it. I say, hey, I want it for this date, or I buy it and unbox it then on a specific date. So I kind of make every watch special. And the only difference with Rolex is that the value stays there. But for me, the about unboxing and the kind of passion of buying the watch is similar. It's more or less the same. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you liked the story. It's gone a bit long now, almost 20 minutes. So I think it's time to stop it. But if you have more questions on this specific topic, so getting the Daytona at the family-owned business, or generally how to work with family-owned ADs compared to global ADs, then let me know in the comments. I'll try to also make a separate video of the Sky Dweller sometime soon. I don't have it with me now, or of some other cool experiences that I made. And yeah, thanks for watching if you stayed this long, and see you next time.